Hey all you Star Wars fans out there, thank you so much for clicking on my video. This is Finding the Force, where you know I cover everything Star Wars, from video games to theme parks, and especially lightsabers. But in today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 things you didn't know about Star Wars Outlaws. Things that I discovered after getting to play Star Wars Outlaws for like almost 4 hours. I did already make previous videos on the topic, but I only got to play for about 30 or 40 minutes. It was a very different, more linear experience to kind of show off the different aspects of the game. This time I got to play the game full access. I got to explore, roam, gamble, shoot up some stuff. Let's get started. Very quickly, I want to thank Ubisoft so much for inviting me and having me out to this event where I got to interview the voice actors, ND5 and Kves, and even one of the developers, and I had a great time meeting other social media folks and getting my hands on this epic new groundbreaking Star Wars game. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to be posting those other videos really soon. And just to make sure you don't miss any of those videos, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Thanks a lot, guys. So why is this game such a big freaking deal? Because it is the first open world Star Wars video game. And I'm here just to make my first point to actually confirm this place is freaking huge. Okay, I've heard there's definitely at least so far 3 planets. Because I know a lot of you guys are wondering, well, how open of a world are you talking about? It totally makes sense that a lot of you would be super skeptical about like the quote unquote open world aspect of this game that really draws you to it, that makes it one of a kind, that how much area are you really going to be able to explore? And my answer to you guys is a lot, including Tatooine, their newest planet called Tashara, and Kijimi, which we see, I believe, in The Last Jedi, like snowy planet. So like I said in the beginning of this video, my first experience where we got to play the game, it was very linear to show off the space, the ground adventure, and also a lot of her like climbing, jumping, swinging, all of her acrobatic skills and ways that she like overcomes obstacles in the game. So this time, getting full access, I can confirm to you guys that this is a massively epic open world, far larger. And my next point in a moment, I'll talk about how natural it felt, but bigger than any Star Wars game that has been created so far. Super thrilling and exciting. Don't think that you can play this game for an hour and put it down. There's so much to do. It's nearly impossible not to compare Star Wars games to each other, like the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order games. But I promise you guys, this world is so much more massive. And it's also really refreshing to be in a Star Wars universe where you're just not surrounded by the typical stormtrooper bad guys who are out to get you. And if you guys have played Jedi Fallen Order and especially Jedi Survivor, you can get around by flying on like space pterodactyls and stuff. And you also do a lot of riding around on those Nekkos, which were like Star Wars ostriches, because you had a good amount of ground that you could cover and explore, but this is going to be so much more. If you've seen the gameplay from Outlaws where she's riding a speeder bike, that kind of tells you that there's a lot of space to move in this game. If you can be using a speeder bike flying at like, what, 80 miles an hour or something, there's a lot of ground to cover. And I'm pretty stoked to share with you guys that all the footage you're watching was recorded footage from my own personal gameplay. Pretty excited about that, and I'm really happy I can share that with you guys. The next point I wanted to make was that this is a living, breathing, authentic, crazy Star Wars world they created in this game. As I was like using a speeder bike to get around Tashara, the newest addition to the Star Wars universe, this planet that's very like African savanna inspired, you'll come across different people on the planet having confrontations. You can choose to intervene, and it might affect your reputation with the different syndicates. I think one of the places where I felt like where this is the most alive environment is when I was walking through the main city of Tashara, through the market, and everyone is so natural, like all the different stormtroopers and people from other planets, everyone's doing their own thing, they have their own business. You can like go up to different people and find different side missions.
Identification. Yes. Here are my scan docs. Is everything okay? We'll find out.
You can gamble, you can purchase stuff, but it really felt alive. And it, like in a lot of older games from the past, you know, NPCs might just be all standing around walking like robots, but it just felt so natural the way some people are sitting down. There's droids everywhere. You'll hear of scuffles. There's a stormtrooper over here that's like interrogating somebody. They really did an excellent job at making this feel like an authentic Star Wars experience.
You know the rules. No credits, no sabak. And you already owe the Pikes a fortune.
Whether Kay was jumping, rolling, dodging, in a firefight, or just casually walking throughout the market, the controls of Kay and using Nix were excellent and felt very natural. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine when I'm playing even shooters, especially when your character is moving wicked fast, faster than any human could run or scoot while holding like an assault rifle. It makes it unrealistic to me. All of her movements, jumping, rolling, everything felt great. Very natural is the best word I could use to describe that. I personally am like a plug and play kind of guy. I prefer console games and the simplicity. Whenever I've tried playing computer games, the controls always seemed too fast and sudden jerky movements, sudden stops, sudden bursts of movement to the left or right. Like I like when it's slower and more of a natural movement and point of view like we have as humans. And that's really the way I felt by controlling Kay. So letting you guys know, I give the controls a thumbs up. Yes, the headline on your screen is correct that you can explore space in the Trailblazer with Kay Vess and her best friend Nix. This totally blew me away, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments, because in most Star Wars games, ships usually have this kind of continuous momentum and you can't really stop. However, in the Kenobi series, I think there was like a speeder ship of some kind when they got out there to the Inquisitor base that was completely halted in air and levitating before it turned around and took off. So that's the ability that Kay Vess's Trailblazer ship has, which allows you to go to all kinds of places and you can like look behind things, go into like space storms, and you can like find crates and actually like scavenge for parts and treasures. You'll come across different ships in distress that you can choose to help out or not. So I think that a lot of the advertisements for this game had talked about the different planets and shown play on the ground, but I had no idea that in between there's a lot going on and there's tons to explore even in space. So I wanted to point that out to you guys in case you didn't know. So while you're exploring space, it doesn't take long before you find something to shoot at. I actually found it really challenging to defeat enemy ships in space until I found this special feature that if you hold the left trigger, like you do to zoom in most video games, an automatic aim assist kicks in and it's very cinematic. It made me think of like the trench run with Luke and Darth Vader, and how like Darth Vader's blasters were like slowly curving and aim assisting towards the other ships. So as you're holding the left trigger, you'll see like a red dotted line go from your target and where the cursor aimer is, and your blasters will adjust to shoot ahead of the ship so you can hit your target much more easily. I really appreciated that and thought it had a cool Star Wars, again, cinematic type of feel to it. So as you make your way through the game, you'll be able to continually make upgrades to Kay's blaster. Very similar to like the lightsabers you're able to beef up in other games, her blaster has several different modes, from normal mode, super power single blasts, electric mode, there's stun mode, and even a rapid fire. And there's probably even more settings that I haven't even discovered yet in the time that I had to play, but that adds another level of excitement where you get to continually be earning upgrades through experience, which also doesn't come for free. I really appreciated this part of the game where not just experience from finishing quests or defeating enemies is going to just be able to magically upgrade your blaster or increase your skills. It goes further than that. It's more realistic, where there's tons of different materials from all of the treasure and chests that you open, everything you scavenge and loot, that you have to have a certain amount of material to make certain modifications to your blaster, to your ship, to your speeder. And I think as a part of the game, they've already mentioned that in order for Kay to increase her skills, she has to go seek them out from specific individuals who have those talents. I think that's really unique and a much more exciting way to like enhance your character or their weapons or vehicles rather than just using experience and clicking the up button and then it magically happens. So I really appreciated that, and I think it's going to add another level of appreciation and difficulty to the game. And speaking of difficulty, stealth missions are mandatory. But stay with me, guys, I have some good news. So the first time I played this game, I felt a little bit rushed, and I stunk up the stealth missions big time. So it felt so good to redeem myself by getting a second chance to play this game to tell you guys that the stealth missions are super fun. First, they give you so many different ways to tackle one obstacle or mission. So you really can make it your own and use your own style, whether you'd like to go try to knock them out yourself or use nicks to distract enemies and sneak around them. You have a ton of options. And I also felt like the stealth aspect of the game was the perfect difficulty level, where you had to work at it to get good at it. And it wasn't too easy, where you could just breeze through a hallway full of enemies. It was a lot of fun. You thought of all the different ways and creative ways that you can get around obstacles. And I really enjoyed more of like the classic video game feel to when you were defeated and you failed, that you had to go back to the beginning of the area of the game. You didn't just reappear right where you had been defeated or died in your footsteps, that you had to kind of earn back that progress that you made. So it gave you a level of frustration, but being frustrated is good, you guys. When you think of like Mario Brothers, Contra, or Metroid, where if you were defeated, you had to go back to the beginning of the level. The quests that I experienced were not always just a straight linear line. You, the player, get to be creative about how you tackle different obstacles, whether you decide to use your stun part of your blaster to knock out a guard, or if you want nicks to distract them, you can go knock them out, or even larger directionality where if you can either find a way to sneak up through the elevator shaft to get to the lead Pike Syndicate boss's office, or you could simply use some credits that you've earned and bribe some guy down in the cantina. In a lot of adventure games, you have to do certain objectives in a certain specific order, and it really doesn't make it feel like you're having your own unique experience. So I really appreciate the different options and the creativity that they've added to overcoming obstacles in the game, and I think that will really increase the replayability. You know, guys, I've got several decades of video game experience under my belt, and I thought that I had already discovered and experienced every single way you could possibly unlock a door or a chest, and somehow these game creators thought of two new ways to unlock computer terminals and secret chests that you find in the game. The first is like a digital code. It's like a different version of Wordle, where you enter in the different symbols. If you're close, it turns yellow, and if you have the correct symbol in the correct place, it turns green. And when you're using Kay's lockpicking tool, you'll hear a little clicking sound, and you have to mimic that beat by hitting the enter button on your controller.
Okay, let's go.
I personally have never experienced a lockpicking mechanism like this before in a video game. I thought it was super unique and fun. And some locks were actually quite challenging. If you have experienced this type of lockpicking mechanism in a video game before, let me know which one down in the comments. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching to the end of my video. I appreciate it. Part 2 is coming soon. I thought this would be a really fun, different way of highlighting the points of this game that I got to experience that I thought were unique and better than just subjecting you guys to 3 straight hours of gameplay footage. So part 2 will be coming soon because I made a pretty big list of other details that I think you gamers really care about. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button. It really tells YouTube I make good content. So thanks again for hanging out with me, guys. I hope you are staying cool this summer. Make sure to take care, be safe, and have an awesome Star Wars day.